Hi, Pete from AFP. Started in 2006, but put the company up to everybody in 2008. We're doing gas chromatography valve. It's either diaphragm or rotary valve for lab and processes. We have different type of valve. Let's say the one that is the most popular from us. We are very known for our diaphragm valve. Our diaphragm valve is very compact and having the actuator built in. So you just bring air actuation to the valve and the valve is switching. So it's the same thing that having a rotary valve, which is looking like that. So it's either a 6, 10, 14 port to switch the flow. So either sampling or switching, but the rotary valve will need an air actuator, an external air actuator or electronic actuator. So the beauty of the diaphragm valve is everything is embedded. So you just bring air actuation and the valve works. More compact, you can put it directly to the GC oven in the column oven. So nice, compact, and one of the benefits of this valve is there is no wearing components. It's a piston with O-rings, which will last forever, and then the plunger go up and down to close the flow between the pools. So it's compared to a rotary valve where you have a rotor and a stator that's going to wear out after a while. So these diaphragm valves are very good. A lot of companies are switching to us on this. This is a pioneer product that we have at AFP. But then when we go to either high pressure liquid sampling, we have our liquid sampling rotary valve, which is 4-port with an internal sampling loop. So we are now having different volume size. We go from 0.05 to 3 microliter. So for LPG, liquid sampling, very good. This valve standard at 1,000, 1,500, but we can also do up to 2,000 psi. Our valve can be delivered coated already with Dursen coating for inertness and H2S application. So a lot of my customers during COVID, they switch because they were not able to get a cellular raw material. So they switch with the Dursen coating. So it prevents absorption of sulfur compounds to the stainless steel due to that coating. Long lasting, cost effective, and works as great. They compare with SLR, good product. We're also launch our new high temperature rotary valve, which is this one, with extended preload. So we re-engineered the preload, and this way you are able to work at ambient temperature to do the leak checking. So at ambient temperature, you can achieve 50 to 100 cycles without damaging the rotor. So you don't need to go at 150 degrees Celsius to run your testing on leaks. So this way I wanted the user to be able to not burn themselves into the oven. It's easier maintenance. And with the standard valves, which have the standard preload, you can achieve, actually, we make some comparison testing. We are 4 times at the competition in terms of lifetime on the HT. And with the extended version, we can do 10 times the lifetime at 330 degrees Celsius. So that's a real benefit. And this is why people are seeing less maintenance into their products, more reliable. And you can go at 350 degrees Celsius, come back to ambient temperature, go back at high temperature, the valve will ease. You don't need to recondition the rotor. With those two valves, we have different type of actuator. We have our pneumatic actuator, very small, compact, very sturdy, only transfer rotational force within high temperature. So this one can go at 125 degrees Celsius. We're designing one that go to 250. So if your valve is in high temperature environment, the heat that will be transferred, the actuator will withstand that temperature. Electronic actuator, everything is embedded. All electronic board, everything is inside. Just cables, works great. And there's no control. You just simply hit the configuration button and it would find its end position. And since it's a very strong motor, strong and fast, it will, we have a microcontroller inside that will record the end position. So it will retract a little bit of slope. So instead of hitting the wall of the valve every time, it will stop just a bit before, a little bit on each side. So it's really smooth transition. And in all our valve, we always have our dowel pins that goes here to lock the valve in place on the standoff. So the screws are there to hold the valve together with the standoff and prevent any side rotation. So even after a while, you work in the lab, work on a process GC, over time vibration, the screws are getting loose a little bit, and the valve start to rotate. You're either losing flowing or you don't see your peaks anymore. So with this, we engineer that to be sure it's locked in place. We do our stream selection diaphragm valve, which is using one piston that goes up and down, and we call that positive shutoff because it shut the flow directly on the port of the valve. So this way, we can control all the ports individually. Compared to rotary valve that you have to cross all the ports, this you can jump from port number 1 to port number 3. So you don't have to cross every channel. You can also purge. Let's say you have the purge gas on port number 1, port number 3 and 4, all different gases. You can inject this one, purge with number 1. Inject this one, purge with number 1. So you don't mix the gases.
What application would you use that for?
We have that on customer that use the moisture analysis. So with the 3-port, they will use their sample, they use the span and the reference, the gas and the sample and the reference gas. So this way they can switch from different samples.
So, one of the things about valves that I know, and it was kind of a mystery to me whenever I first started working with them, is like, how do they work, right? So you have all these ports, and the typical user, like a GC person who's applicating an instrument, they'll know exactly what they're doing, right? But if you're just a typical user, why is a valve even important?
Why is the valve important?
Yes.
So actually this is a sampling. It's to get different connections. So it can be different sample, different tank, and you can choose from which one you need. Mm-hmm. But when we talk to a switching valve or a 6-port diaphragm valve, you need to feed from one port to the other port. You feed the gas, the carrier gas to the column, to the detector. Mm-hmm. And then on other side of the valve, you want your samples. So you want to either inject with an internal sampling loop of 0.5 microliter if you go with liquid. If you go in gas, you need 250 microliter. Then you have an external sampling loop. Right? So with the sample, you fill that loop with the gas, and when it's full, you switch the valve. So you inject that sampling loop into the carrier circuit, and that go into the valve. That go to the columns, and then to the detector.
So let's go a little bit further on here, and just to help the user understand. Let's look at the rotor. Let's take a look at it and see how it's designed and what its function is actually in the valve.
So here's our purge rotary valve. So you have the groove here. I will use this show. The groove here, it's connecting 2 ports together. And I show here, this is stator, but that goes into that purge rotary valve. But I will show you here. So internally on the valve, you have small port size that goes inside the valve. So it's connecting 2 ports together. And when the valve is rotating, it's taking those 2 ports and switching it to another port. So this is how we are able to switch the flow of gas in the sample, in the system, I mean. And actually, if you don't want to if you're working on low-level trace application and you're looking at low-level moisture, oxygen, nitrogen, you don't want that to get involved in your valve. Some are putting the valve into purge cabinet where you feed that with helium, which is you all know that the helium cost is getting higher and higher. And if you want to reduce that, there's certain cost supplier that doing some either a box that go over, or what we're doing, we have a patent on that since a couple of years, that here you have your process gas in that groove, but we have purge groove on each side. So this way is prevent any inboard air getting inside the valve who wants to reach that process gas, process flow path. It will be catch away by the purge. So it's preventing any moisture, oxygen, nitrogen to get inside the system. So for low-level trace application, but also for the safety side. If you're working with hydrogen, which is more and more, the hydrogen, you don't want the hydrogen to start to leak outside of the valve. So if it's leaking, because a rotary valve will eventually leak over the time, you don't want that to leak outside of the valve. So that purge system will keep the flow of gas inside the valve. And if you want to make your system kind of self-diagnostic, you can use a small DV valve like that. Use it just a 3-port, so it's like a 3-way valve. let's say like this, to the vent, and you can re-inject by switching. You connect the purge gas outlet on the port number 2, as an example. You usually go to vent, but if you want, you can switch it here, re-inject it into the system, and analyze your purge outlet gas quality. So if you start to see oxygen, moisture, nitrogen, it's okay. I'm starting to get inboard leaks from the environment. If it's okay with your column deterioration, it can be fine. But if you start to see hydrogen into your outlet purge port, then you need to plan the earlier maintenance. So you can plan the maintenance in advance without getting all the alarm of the GC coming in. So that's another feature we did at AFP. You know, we are almost 20 years into the business now, and we had to bring a creative, innovative feature to get our products out. And when you talk with us directly from the head office. So you have access to me and my colleague Sergio, product manager. So if you have anything, just feel free to contact us. If not, we are having also different type of service. We can have fittings, pre-cut tubing, cores, coated tubing, and we'd also contract manufacturing for different type of industry.
Okay. Well, great. That was pretty educational. These are valves that you would put into an instrument to basically control the flow of your samples or to control the flow of the gases. And it's actually the probably least known thing that's actually in the instrument, but it's very important, right? Because you can't do what we need to do without it, especially if you're looking at online analyzers. You got to switch valves to get into the right column or something like that. So it's actually pretty interesting. Do you have resources on your website that kind of show and demonstrate the flow of the sample and how it goes through the valve?
Yes. On our division, on the section on the website in the diaphragm valve, you have a video that we created that to show how the valve sampling works, where the gas goes. And I have also a video that maybe will not seen easily, but with our hologram here, we show all the flow path, how it works for the purge feature. So that's pretty neat.
Yeah, unfortunately, you can't really see it well on the camera, but it is pretty neat if you were here. I'm sure there's a version of it online, though.
Yes, it is. And I forgot one interesting product we did. We developed our needle valve, and this is coming from voice of the customer. We integrate a couple of customers. So what do they like? What do they don't like from existing product? And what do we like to get into their product? So with our needle valve, what we did, we have a constant, we re-engineered the preload here. So we have constant tension from close to open. We also, customer were saying that it would be nice to have less part number. So instead of having a fine adjustment, high flow adjustment, we have them all in one combined valve. This valve is not drifting if you touch it because it's easy to adjust and it's quite sturdy here. And also the resolution is twice that what's available on the market. So to go from almost close, like 2 cc to 60 cc, you need 4 turns. So that means it's easy to adjust. And I would say that one customer try it, they don't go back. They always switch. So this is a pretty good success story for us. And it's also coming up with, we can get it already Durst coated for H2S application. So you don't need to buy a stainless steel valve, send it for coating. We get you covered. We send it to you already coated.
Well, so it sounds like one other advantage that you seem to bring to the table is that you've got the engineering and you actually manufacture these yourself?
Yes, everything is manufactured in our own office. So we have the engineering team, the machine team on different levels, air quality, with all the assembly is done in-house. So we have a very close loop of feedback. If we need to improve something, and I would say that all our product, you don't need to pay extra dollar to get tested. 100% of the AFP product are fully tested for flow rate and leak rate. And it comes built in, so pay extra.
So I guess that also gives you some flexibility. If a customer wants something designed custom, you're able to do this for them.
Yes, because some of our OEM customer, the end user needs 2000 PSI leak tested on the valve. So we provide extra testing and we can deliver custom parts. And as an example, for the VOC market, they needed a valve that was 14 port instead of a 6 and a 10. So based on the customer requirement, we developed a 14 port diaphragm valve that works for, it's like having a 6 port and a 10 port together combined, because on the VOC application, you can switch both valves at the same time. So we developed 14 port because they needed a compact, cost-effective product. So we built a 14 port diaphragm valve for that market. So if you have any needs, anything that is required for now and for future product, what we don't have doesn't mean we can't make it. You just ask us, we discuss, we sit down together, see if it's a feasible project, and then we can move on.
Well, so now in the age of like supply chain issues, how are you in being able to provide the supplies that customers need?
Actually, since we are part of a Shivo Group, bigger group, we also have multiple locations. So we have an office in China, the head office in Ireland. We have one in the US in New York, one in Canada. We just built a new factory for contract manufacturing in Mexicali, in Mexico. So we can build a different location. We can distribute for different locations. And we're also now all into consumables. So we can have our one-stop shop. We can get you a pack column, capillary column, septa, vials, injectors. We can get you different type of product to get everything from one stop.
Okay, and so you have a lot of innovation here, a lot of innovative products, and you have competition, obviously. So where are you in terms of pricing? Are you competitive?
Yeah, we're pretty competitive, and actually our list price is less expensive than what's available on the market on the list price. And we work with OEM system integrator, so we're very competitive. We want to continue to grow in the market, and to ease it, if you are an end user and you need a product quick, we have our web store. It's like Amazon based. You can buy the product, we can get the promo code. Actually, we have a promotion running until Christmas time. We have 25% if you use the code PROMSUMABLE25, you get 25% out of our web store. We can ship worldwide, and we also deal with the tariff and all that stuff. We get you covered so you don't have surprise, so you know what you have to pay on the income tariff if there's any. And we're working to get this at different locations worldwide, so it's really available.
Okay. Well, I think we learned a lot here about the products that you have to offer. I really appreciate your time. If they want to reach you guys, how do they communicate with you?
They can go through our web store at the website and change our address is now afplifescience.com, or you can reach me at my direct email. You can the sales team. So sales@afplifescience.com.
Okay. Well, thank you, Pete. I really appreciate your time.
Excellent. Thanks, Michael.